Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and in this series we've been talking about various ways to make money with Airbnb, especially if you're a first-time Airbnb investor. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes that I've uploaded, I plan on uploading 15 episodes. You can find them all in the description below with the description of each. But in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about pricing tips and strategies for Airbnb investing. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so tip number one, the first thing you want to do is determine what your competition in the area around you is doing. So for example, if your place is 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, you want to see what other 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom places on Airbnb are charging, because you don't want to be too low or too high above that. Now, if your place offers amenities like a pool, a huge backyard, or anything like that, yes, then you can change and alter your price. But for the most part, if there's another place down the street that's, the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms as yours, same square footage, and has the same amenities, and you're $100 more a night, you're not going to get booked. So I highly recommend that you browse through Airbnb, see all of the listings in your general area, and kind of get a sense as to what everyone else is charging, because you kind of want to fall in that ballpark if you want to be successful. Tip number 2. So now that you've done that, you always want to continuously check, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, however you want to do it, just to make sure that your pricing continues to be competitive with those in the area, because people are changing their prices around consistently. So you want to make sure you're doing the same, because at the end of the day, you want to be as booked up as much as possible. So any day that you're not booked up, you're kind of throwing away money. So I definitely recommend checking other listings on Airbnb on a consistent basis to make sure that your pricing is still makes sense. Tip number 3. I recommend not using Airbnb smart pricing. I've noticed over the last couple of years is that smart pricing definitely undervalues what your place could go for. I noticed in my instance that it was asking me to reduce my price by 30 to 40% a night. And I knew that was totally ridiculous. One, because the competition wasn't doing that. And 2, I'm in a pretty busy area. I'm in San Diego, really close to the beach. So it didn't make any sense. So I definitely don't recommend you doing that. I recommend you deciding your prices on your own, because you could be throwing away a lot of money. And the whole purpose of renting through Airbnb is to make money for yourself. So choose your prices first. Don't use smart pricing, because I don't think it's going to benefit you. Tip number 4, you always want to be changing your pricing. For example, let's say you're in July and you have a couple days here and there that haven't been booked. What you want to do is reduce the prices of those days so that they're highly valuable. And you can find out someone out there that's willing to book a Tuesday and Wednesday in the middle of the week, where most people are looking to book weekends, because those are days that you could eventually get money for. So if you're typically charging $200 a night, and someone is booked most of the week, but you have a random day, drop the price to $150, $125, whatever it may be, to entice people to take those days, because typically Monday through Wednesday aren't days that people typically book when they're traveling. So when I have random days like that during the week, I'll typically reduce the price to get them to get booked. It doesn't happen all the time, but in the cases that it does, that's extra money coming your way that you probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So always check your pricing, change your pricing in order to get those days booked, because in my opinion, having a night booked is better than not having a night booked. But that's within reason. You don't want to undervalue your place. For example, if you're charging $300 a night, you don't want to start charging $100 on a random off day, because you could attract the type of person that you probably don't want in your unit, especially if you have a really nice place. So, be mindful about what you're doing when you're pricing. But this should give you a general idea of how you should approach this. Tip number 5, you should ideally be booked about 80% a month in advance. So what do I mean by that? So as you approach, let's say you're in June, and as you're approaching July, you want to have 80% of your days booked, because that typically means that you're pricing your unit right. If you're way above that, let's say it's June and August is already pretty much 100% booked up, more than likely you probably undercharge what your value is worth. So be mindful of that. You don't want your place being booked up 100% so far out, because that means you're pretty much not charging what you should be charging. On the other hand, if it's the end of June and come July 4th is right around the corner, and you have 30 or 40% of your place booked up, you're probably charging too much. So be mindful of that, and that kind of touches to the other topics or other tips that I provided about checking your competition and constantly changing prices. This is what you need to do with Airbnb. It's not a sit back and just see the money type of roll in. You can do that, but you'll be missing out on some money. So take these recommendations seriously, because I think when you follow these, you'll be benefiting yourself and making the most amount of money. Tip number 6. So this is about altering and changing your length of stay requirements. For example, in my Airbnb, I require a minimum of 4 nights, and those 4 nights include a weekend. So if you're booking a Saturday and Sunday, you must also book either a Friday or a Monday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Any part of the weekend has to include 2 additional days. Now, if they're booking a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, they just have to book 2 days. So for example, if they want to book on Monday, they have to book at least a Monday and a Tuesday. Or if they book on a Tuesday, it has to be a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I do that to try to maximize the number of booked days that I have. I see a lot of people just requiring 2 days or 2 nights. And the issue with that is that most people, when they're traveling, travel on the weekends. And if you're just letting people book for 2 nights and they book a Friday and Saturday, the chances of you finding someone else that's going to book a longer stay greatly drops, because that person now misses or doesn't have an opportunity to book your place because the weekend is taken. But that person would have booked a longer stay. So especially if you're a place where people travel to a lot on the weekends, like here at a beach town or in a ski resort, be mindful of that. You don't want to all of a sudden limit the number of days you could have booked by just allowing people to book for a short amount of time. Do that during the week, but not on the weekends. I recommend at least 3 days, but that really depends on where you're located, the demographics, what your city or town has to offer. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this. Tip number 7. Now, there's a lot of services out there that can provide pricing strategies for you. One in particular is called AirDNA Co. AirDNA.co. Now, I've never used this service before, so I can't really vouch for it, but I've heard a lot of good things. It's not a free service. Well, there is a free subscription to it, but I'm not really sure where the value in that lies. It seems like all the bread and butter is in the monthly subscription model that starts at around $19.95 a month and goes up from there. But if you're the type of person that doesn't want to do the research and is looking for help in how to perfectly price your unit, I would definitely check out that site. You could find a lot of value in it.